Well, kids, what do we have here? Illustrations by me. That was a line from a movie. There's no kids here. This is not made for kids. It's not specifically not made for kids, but it's definitely not made for kids. Okay, look, I went and picked up a set, and I'm very excited to do. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of hype on this. I've been looking at sets of these for 15 years, probably since I first got back, more than that. I think it was around 2007-ish, 8-ish, that I think I first saw the first time these came out, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I first saw them many years ago, but then I saw them highlighted on Marty Owing's channel. So I said, well, let me see these. So this is a set of Sennelier. I'm saying that right. I know I am. Don't try and say anything about that. So this palette of Sennelier, oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, look at that. It has a little strap on the back so you can put it on your hand. Is that what that's for? You put it on your hand and hold it. It's a great idea. I'm a tactile person. I like the feel of this. It has some grit to it. It's like a textured outside. It's not just smooth. It's not going to slip through your hands. It is plastic though, but I'm sure it's impact resistant plastic. So it's the watercolor travel box. Now it comes with a pamphlet that has it's a whole book of propaganda in here. And listen, this is not unusual. Every company does it. They put their propaganda sheets inside the boxes. All they are is to tell you how much better their stuff is than everybody else's, when everybody knows it's not better than anybody else's. It may be different than everybody else's, but it's not better. That's a different thing. Anyway, I've been looking at these because I hear that they're made with honey, they glow on the paper, and that's what interested me. So I love my Holbein paints, and I use the Holbein paints because they glow behind the ink. So I'm going to use this set the way that I would use that set. Let's see if it does the same thing, and if it does, that's wonderful. Let me just open this up here and see. Oh, what is this? Oh no. What am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? That's not, I don't even think you can paint with that. That's maybe like a little line or something. You can't get a wash with it. What is this? Well, anyway, at least they included it in there. So if you didn't have a useless tiny brush, now you do. Anyway, that was a surprise. But the palette itself, it's shiny plastic, so I'm guessing, they should have made the texture on the inside. That way the paint wouldn't beat up on the inside. I know you can do the toothpaste and all the things, I know. But they should have done that so that it didn't beat up on here. I'm almost certain that's going to beat up. That's a slick plastic on there. And it looks like a bunch of colors that I will hate. That's okay. I'm not judging the paint based on the colors that I hate. I'm judging it based, it's a split primary palette. I hate split primary palettes, but that's okay. I probably should have looked before I bought it, but it was the least expensive of their sets, and I wanted to get these for a long time. I wanted to get Sennelier paints and see how they are. So I'm going to be mixing them and doing some other things with them, but it's split primary is what it is. Anyway, 12 paints, half pans. You know how that's why they give you the tiny brush. It's the only thing that fits the half pans. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to use them anyway. We're going to use them the way that I use the Holbein paints and see if I can get the same result. That's important to me. It is a nice box. I do like it. It's small and compact, but it opens up. So you have, and it clips closed. There's like a clip there. You got to pop the clip open to open it up. You see that? It's interesting. At least it doesn't just like clip close, like when you just close it and then you have to hope that it doesn't open. No, it actually closes. It actually fits tight too. It fits tight that way and then it clips closed. So you're not going to accidentally open this, and it's tight. So I wonder, I don't know if it has a lip that fits inside the other side. So maybe it could be close to the best you would expect from watertight without having an actual rubber gasket. But no, there's definitely gaps in there. Never mind. There's a gap around the edge. But it still stays closed. It won't pop open and spill all over your bag. And I guess you won't get stuff stuck in them. And that's interesting. If you hold it like this, can you open it? Yeah, like a little makeup thing. But this is not for... That's why the little brush too. You can... That's all it's for. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We're going to use this. I have high hopes for these paints. I've heard so many wonderful things about these paints. We'll swatch them out, and then I'm going to paint something with them. I just hope that they hold up. We'll swatch them out, and hopefully I will not have to throw up on any of these colors. But I don't see any... Do I have any information on these colors? But I don't see any... No, I'm going to have to go to the website, translate everything from French, and try and figure out what the pigments are that are in these. But I will do my best. There's no information at all on anything. Not even on the box. It says the... does it say the color? Well, it kind of says the color. It says that... No, it doesn't. It doesn't say any colors on the thing. That's okay. I'll figure it out. Let's get into this. Let me jump back in before I get into the actual swatching. I made a mistake. I did. I was wrong. Imagine that. I've been wrong most of my life. So this is the La Petite Aquarelle. It is supposed to be more of a student grade. I don't understand that. So here's what I'm going to do is just talk to you about that for a second. We'll get into the swatching. When people say they're supposed to be student grade, what does that mean? Well, according to this, it's supposed to be a smoother application. So the paints are going to be a little less, I guess, vibrant. I don't know. They use artist grade pigments, but they're not the same thing. They don't work the same way as regular watercolor. Why would you do that to a student? Why would you say, here's a set of watercolor that do not act like watercolor. They don't act like professional watercolor. Learn on these. Why? Then they're going to learn how to use those. When they get the professional watercolor, they're going to be frustrated as all hell because they cannot get it to work right. It just doesn't make any sense why these companies do this. Do not make a student grade and then make another artist grade or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. Or don't call it that. Call it something different. Call it smooth blend or something. That way people don't think, oh, I'm learning with these because they're a little bit less expensive, but I'm going to learn exactly what all the other watercolor will do. And they start doing it, they get frustrated, and then they don't want to use, they don't ever get to the point where they're buying the professional stuff because they don't like it. But if you call it something different, say, oh, these are the smooth application watercolor, and these are the regular professional watercolor, or however you want to say, artist grade watercolor, whatever you want to say, do that. Don't say student. It's not student. They cannot learn on something that's not the same. It just doesn't make any sense. Oh, this is student paper. This is student paint. And then they get so frustrated because they can't do anything that they would be able to do with the professional stuff. So they get frustrated and they quit, or they learn on it and they actually learn how to use this stuff. Then they go to the other stuff and they can't use it the same way and they have to start all over again learning. That's just a rant for a little bit. Now we'll get into the swatching. I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that you're going to get angry at because I thought they were the artist grade. They say fine watercolor on them, but they next to that, they do say student. I went on the site. I found this exact set because all the other sets are fine. Found the exact set, and it says that they are, this formulation is designed to make it easier to produce mixes and washes for artists who are learning how to they're not learning. They're learning how to use these. That's what they're learning how to do. When they get the other ones, it's not going to work the same. That's dumb. That's very dumb. I don't know why anyone would do that. And they're not the only ones. I'm not picking on them. They all do it. All of them do it. It's not just them. So I don't, well, not all of them do it. I don't think I've ever seen M. Graham student grade. I don't think I've ever seen Daniel Smith student grade. I don't think I've ever seen Da Vinci student grade, although some people say that they're student grade. We're going to find out because I've got some of those on the way. But waiting a long time to swatch those out. But there are some that do not say student grade. They don't have a student grade because there's no such thing. You learn on what you're going to use. That's what you learn on. All right. Well, let the hate start pouring in because this was confusing as anything I've ever seen. I'm not knocking the paint. So everything I'm going to mention here is not knocking the paints. It's just that the website does not correspond to what this says. Now I just put that line on late. So I'm going to come back to the white and see how opaque it is. I want that to dry a little bit first. Okay, now I know some people say you should go ahead and spray these first so that they start dissolving. I don't do that when I do the swatch because I want to see how well they re-wet from nothing, from being completely dry. Now, I know some of you that wouldn't matter. You'd spray it anyway. I don't like to spray my stuff. So anyway, here's the thing. We're going to start with the primary yellow. It's PY74. That is areolide yellow. So it's not the dariolide yellow. It's the areolide yellow, just without the D. Anyway, we're going to start that. It's primary yellow is what they're calling it here. And it's supposed to be semi-opaque and have a light fastness of 3, which is actually very good. So all of these say 3, except for this one. We're going to get to that one. Don't worry about it. All these say 3, but we're going to have some questions down here too. So now, do these disperse in water? Not really. That one stayed put pretty well exactly where I put it, which is fine. Some watercolor do that. That's not a problem. That's what happens sometimes. Now, online, this says Chinese orange, but on the set, it just says orange. So on this box here, that just says orange on there for 645. That's the number. Same number as what the chart that I'm looking at online, but that's just not what it says. So let's get this orange here. And it's not very bright. It's not very high tinting strength or anything like that, maybe. I mean, I'm sure it's going to dry a nice orange. That's fine. But it's just not showing a lot. It's not coming off very bright and vibrant. Okay, so the PY150 is the Nicolazo yellow. Usually that looks very dark or very dirty in a mix. This does not. I don't see that at all. So that Nicolazo yellow gets... I'll show you some comparisons later of what the regular color looks like. It looks a little bit of like a dirty yellow. This does not do that. So it's a clean. Maybe there's not a lot in there. I'm not sure. Now let me ask you a question. And this is just because I don't know. So why, when they do orange, do they always mix a yellow and a red instead of just making it an orange pigment? Why are they always doing that? Can they not get the right color if they just use a regular orange pigment? I don't get it. This one added brown even to that, and this doesn't look brown at all. I don't know what the brown is. Did they try and darken that? Doesn't look like it, not to me. PR209? That's quinacridone red. That's a very bright, vibrant, transparent red. This is a transparent color, by the way. Full light fastness is what they're saying. It just, I don't see any of these colors in here. And PBR23 is pigment brown. So it's just pigment brown. That's what it is. Pigment brown 23. That's what it's called. However, it's supposed to be very good light fastness. So all these have great light fastness. It just, this color is not matching what I would expect any of these colors to look like. I don't know. That's just how it is. And they're not very... Now, it's a bright color. Don't get me wrong. This is a bright color. It's just not... It doesn't pop like a vibrant color would. It's orange, and it's very light and bright, but it's just not very high tinting strength. There's not a lot of color on that. Now, don't ask me. 695 does not show up on their color sheet online. It is primary red on the box. I do not see a primary red anywhere on the website, so I don't know what it is. This one, we are in the dark, people. So I don't know how light fast it is. I don't know if it's supposed to be transparent or not. I'm sure it's supposed to be semi-transparent the way that it's looking. It does not look very transparent. Do you see how this paint is it separates itself almost. See how light it is over here and how, this is a cool red. So I would assume this was going to be a warm red, but it's not. It's a cool red. See how right here there's a little bit of pink? So if you wipe away a little bit and you see a pink undertone, that's a cool red. That's what that is. Now, it's not going to be as cool as the next one, but it's still a cool red. This is going to be a little bit opaque, I think. It's going to be probably semi-transparent at least. And these paints are going to look like they're going to stay put right where I put them. They're just going to sit there. That's fine. It's just what they do. That doesn't mean that they're low quality or that there's fillers or anything like that. It's just some paints sit right where they are and some paints move around. Okay, this one I had a question too, because 690, so This says permanent, rose permanent, or rose madder lacquer. And online on the sheet it says rose madder lake. So 3 different names here for this one. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The PV19, of course, that's used in every paint company that I've ever seen. And at least we know all these paints I'm talking about are showing up. All the pigments are showing up in all the other manufacturers. So that quinacridone violet is PV19. Let's get some of that on there. And it's going to be, should be a very cool red. And that's exactly what it is. It's a rose. So what do you think of when you think of a rose? It's a very cool pinkish color. Definitely pinker than this color, which has now, it's still a little bit to the cool side. Maybe more of a true red. Let's say that. If I can stop putting my hand in the paints, that would be great. I would love that if I could stop doing that, but I have them right here. Let me just move them up a little bit. That'll help me. Okay. So anyway, very cool color, very cool. You can see right there, very pink, very, very pink. So that's going to be the coolest red on this palette. And then they're going for a cobalt blue instead of an ultramarine. Now, some people would have a problem with that. People love the ultramarine. Now, here's the confusing part. On the box, it says cobalt blue hue, but this pigment is only cobalt blue. So I don't know what the confusion is here. Look, if you can confuse anyone, you can confuse me. You have to be clearer about what you're doing. Sennelier, please clear up your website versus what you put on your packaging. I have no idea what's happening here. All I know is that is cobalt blue, but on the box it calls it a hue. It's not a hue, it's the cobalt blue. It's transparent with a 3 light fast. All right, let's see what this is, and it's very low tinting strength. A lot of cobalt blues are. I'm not going to blame this one. They tend to be a little bit of the lighter shade of cobalt. But you can see that there's granulation in here. You can see it immediately. That's what cobalt blue does. It granulates. So it's acting just like cobalt blue would. Oh, I got to get some water down here for this one here. And it's going to stay put. And that's going to stay put. I'm already assessing these paints, and people are going to not like me here in a couple of minutes. Okay, primary blue, of course, is going to be your phthalo blue. The 15-3 is the green shade of phthalo blue, and it's transparent, and this has a 3 light fast. Now, hold on a second. We just went through a ton of other swatchings, and every time I come across a phthalo blue, it always has a 2 light fast instead of a 3, or however that goes. It's always one step down from the best light fastness in all the other brands. But in this one, it's not saying that. In this one, it's saying, no, this is going to be a 3. And that's what I always thought it was. And that looks exactly like a cobalt, a phthalo blue, not a cobalt, you know what I mean. Looks exactly like a phthalo blue green shade. I love the color. And it stains something. It's a staining color, just so you know. It is a staining color, but very easily, as I wipe it, you see it comes out of the brush. That is not a blue tip on there. It's just a regular, it cleaned out pretty well, very quickly, no problem. Unlike what's about to happen right here. I'm very angry already. I don't want to even put the color down on the page, but I will. But it has a phthalo blue in it, so maybe it'll surprise me a little bit. So we're going with the deep green, which is the phthalo blue green shade, and then we're going with, the phthalo green. Now this is the blue shade of the phthalo green. PG7 is the blue shade, so you have a green shade and a blue shade leaning together. It's going to have a very bright, when colors lean together, that means they're going to come out very bright and vibrant. And that's exactly what this one's going to do. It doesn't appear to me that it has any phthalo blue in it. This looks like every other phthalo green I've ever seen and ever used. But let's see if it actually is that way. Let's see. Now, there's something else that's very interesting about this. It did not stain my brush as much. Hold on, let me clean it out here for a second because I just got some more paint on there. It stained a little bit, but not as much. This is not a green tipped brush. So for whatever reason, their phthalo green, maybe because it's mixed with the blue, I have no idea, didn't stain this brush that bad. And if it doesn't stain, I might actually use it. How about that? A phthalo green that I might actually use. The thing that I hate about it is that it stains everything. Now this one's a little bit, this is weird. The PY153 is not common. I've not seen that in very many of them. So you have the phthalo blue, phthalo green blue shade with this nickel dioxime yellow. I don't know what that is. I've never even seen it or heard about it. But this color, now on the box, this says green yellow. I will put up I'm going to put this up next to this right now so you can see what it actually says on the website, because that is not what it says on the website. It says phthalo green light. What is phthalo green light? But it's the same number. It's 805. So that's the right one. And it uses the same pigment. This is the pigment that it says, that's transparent. The other thing that's confusing, so if you look at the bottom, and you can see on that thing that I threw up here, 1 is the 3, because a 1 light fastness is a 3 light fastness in stars. It's an ASTM is 1. That means very light fast. That's what it means. So this one says 2, which is good light fastness, but the stars are 3. How can it be? I don't know which one it is. They made a mistake. They don't know which one it is either. They've got to figure that out. It's easy to confuse me. If you can confuse anyone, like I said, you can confuse me, and they're confusing me. I don't know what that is now. It's fine, because I'm not going to use this color anyway. It doesn't matter to me. But if you can give me a reason to give people the wrong information, I guarantee you I'll do it. I sometimes do it anyway, without even trying. Okay, now this one, let's get back into something I'm a little bit more comfortable with. Yellow ochre, it's going to be opaque. PY43, that's the natural yellow iron oxide. The PY42 is the synthetic version of it. It's the same exact pigment, just one's created somewhere in a lab. The other one's pulled out of stones and rocks and dirt and that kind of stuff. Exactly the color I would expect to see. That's what it is, a yellow ochre. The things that I like about yellow ochre is that you can get a darker color here, but you can get a very light color. So if you put this in a sky somewhere, it's almost like it's a light yellow. It looks nice, and you can get away with that. As a matter of fact, a lot of landscape artists use yellow ochre in their skies because it just darkens it a little bit. And you'd think it would turn into a green with the blues, but you don't actually run it directly over it. You put it next to it, and it doesn't necessarily green the blue. So just a little thing for you to understand. So anyway, let's see how this acts with a little bit of water here. I'm guessing it's going to stay put, and it does. That's exactly what it's going to do. Now, someone asked me if I'm constantly squeezing this water brush, how long does it take me to refill? So just so you know, it was about half full maybe and when I started this, and I just had to refill it now. So most of the time when you take this rag here, if you have a wet spot that you keep wiping something off on, it's going to stay wet. So you don't always have to squeeze it to get the water out of to get the paint out of the brush. Sometimes you can just wipe it on that wet spot. It'll come right off. Because the brush stays wet all the time anyway, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so burnt umber. Now, I love burnt umber. PBR7, brown iron oxide. Beautiful color. I love brown iron oxide. It's a wonderful color. Let's see what it looks like here. That's really weak. Let me see here. Let me just make sure I'm getting enough on here. I think I am. Have enough water on the brush, right? Okay, let's see. It's just a very light tinting strength. We're gonna go through it. I don't see this coming through the paint like the Holbein does, but we're gonna see. We'll try it. People always say, oh, it glows because it's got the honey in it. Well, let's see if it glows. I agree. I'm not saying it doesn't have honey in it. These are re-wetting very easily. They're just not very strong. And transparent with an excellent light fastness, which of course the brown iron oxide does. Brown iron oxide is a beautiful color. It granulates wonderfully. I love it. Let's see if this one does. Let's move on to the Payne's Gray. Okay, so Now let's move over to Payne's Gray over here. So the PV19, the quinacridone violet, that's a beautiful color. It's over here. This is the color that's in here. So just so you know, and some Payne's Grays look a little bit more to the warmer red, and I mean to the warmer blue side, but they usually have a bluish tint to them. Some of them don't. Some of them look like a neutral gray, but most of them look like a little bit of a bluer gray. And then this one seems to, or to me, looks like it's going to move towards the purple side, because these two together will make purple. That'll just darken it. And it's a warmer blue color. It's definitely a warmer blue than some of them. But that's what I would expect from like a Payne's blue gray kind of thing. Oh, yeah, I did mix that in there a little bit. It's okay. And we'll do that. So, but let's talk about this phthalo blue here for a second. So the PB15 one, you don't see it that much because it's the red shade. So you have a red here, and then you have a red shade, the version of the phthalo blue. But if you look at the chemical makeup, it's exactly the same as the green shade. The chemical makeup is exactly, it doesn't change anything. C32H16CUN8. That's both of them say that. And I'm looking at something, I don't have that memorized. I'm looking at a screen that tells me that. And I'm looking at the two of them saying, hey, these are the exact same thing. PBK7 is the lamp black. And the lamp black is from soot. It's just a carbon soot kind of thing. It's not made from the bone. It's not a bone black. So technically, it's a vegan black, I guess you would say, but it is made from burning petroleum, natural gas, and that kind of stuff, and collecting the soot. So that's what it's like, the byproduct soot that they have. They make a pigment from it. Here it is, PBK7. Anyway, this is what I would expect from more like a blue gray. If you look at the Daniel Smith blue gray, that's the kind of, or Payne's blue gray, that's what it is. Daniel Smith blue gray? No. Payne's blue gray in Daniel Smith, that's what it looks like. It looks more like this bluer shade here and less like the gray shade. And that's a thing of taste. Some people like the bluer side. Some people like the more gray side, like the true gray. I understand it. So first impressions of this, I don't know. I mean, the phthalos are bright because they always are. There's some brightness on the page. They do seem to be glowy, I guess, but they're not very vibrant. They're not bright and vibrant. They're kind of different. I've never really seen paints like this before. So I'm going to try and use them in a drawing the way that I would with the Holbein, like I said. And then I'm going to just look at them and say, here's a Holbein painting, and here's the Sennelier painting, and can they hold together? Can the Sennelier hold up to it? I hope it can, because it looks like a nice little travel set. I would use it for whatever I need. It's just that there's so weak tinting in all of it. It just looks very flat. That's a good way to say it. Let's just not say that it's weak tinted strength. It looks flat on the page. It looks like someone put that on the page and it's just flat color. There's no real depth to it. It's not like bouncing in your face, like kind of thing. And if you don't like that, then that's fine. You might love these. Very soft colors. Look at the yellow ochre. It got very soft, like a finish. The finish is soft. That's what I mean by looking flat. The finish looks soft. These are beautiful colors. This cobalt almost looks a little bit more like a lavender or something almost. But the finish of it is almost like velvet. Like that satin finish. That's what it looks like. It's hard to explain, but unless you're looking right at it in front of you, it's hard to see. All right, let's get into the painting. Okay, now that I know exactly what these are, I'm going to judge them for what they are. I'm not going to judge them the way that I was originally going to judge them. That would have been wrong. You don't compare things. If they're not claiming to be something, you can't judge them that way. So here's the first thing I want to say. I used this, I did this like I do the Holbein. I just did the one puddle of color and I started adding things into it and making different colors and then putting it on the page. So you see it spread out really well inside. I thought this was gonna bead up immediately and I used just this one. I did mix another color over here that I wiped off because I wasn't gonna use it. and it beads a little bit. I'm not saying it doesn't bead up at all, but I was able to get a pretty smooth, flat wash there. You can see the whole thing there. It covers the thing. It's not just in one little spot where it beads up and you can't get it to make a puddle. No, you were able to do that on this. So I don't know if these are treated differently on the inside. Good job on the palette. That was a great thing, and I enjoyed using it that way. Now, they claim that these mix very easily, that they're very smooth to mix. So I did most of my other mixing. You saw me put the different colors on the page and kind of blend the things together. They mixed very well on the page. So to their credit, what they're saying that it's supposed to do, it does that. It mixes very easily on the book. And that says something, because the paper that I use that is in this book, I was testing that. That's one of the things I wanted to test. When I saw that that's what it was saying it did, I picked the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, the hot press Fluid 100. That is known for grabbing the color and holding it in place and not blending well. So I wanted to test, do these blend better than other paints would blend on this? And my opinion is they do. They actually blended better on this page than other paints that I've used on this kind of paper. I've used all sorts of, from Core to Daniel Smith, all different kinds of watercolor on this paper. And generally speaking, you put a swipe down and you get that it's a hot press, so you can get a little bit of a hard edge, you get a little bit of that mark, and it holds on to that color. So you can go over the top with another color, but it doesn't lift and blend with that second color. This blended fine. Now, I wasn't doing it after it was dry, I was doing it when it was still wet. There's a couple spots I did go back into after it was dry, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that this was going to, it worked. It didn't do anything weird. It didn't do anything that I didn't expect it to do. So it worked just fine on this paper, and it was easier to blend than maybe some other paints. So for that, they get credit. The other thing I want to say is, I think they did a fairly good job. It's not like a Holbein paint or something. I don't want to compare it to that. That's a professional watercolor paint. This is not. This is not supposed to be. It did a good job of glowing behind the ink. Looked like it was glowing behind the ink. And the way that I did that, there's a caveat there, is that I took the paints that are more saturated, like the phthalos. I used phthalo blue and I used that phthalo green as well, and put those in that puddle. And I put the blue in there first, and some of the reds, the brighter red, put that in there first, and then started mixing other colors into it and getting those other colors. That's how I was able to make it glow. So I did have to use some of the, when you see in the sky, it looks very like a pale bluish gray color, almost pale color. That was the paint straight out of the pan. That was the cobalt blue straight out of the pan, put it on the page, and it did that. But when I mixed them with a couple of the stronger ones, I did use that cobalt blue a lot in the purple areas, the pink and purple areas. That's the cobalt blue in there. I did use some of the phthalo blue in some of the darker purple at the very top. But the other ones, that's it. That's what I used right there. And then just added other colors to it. Some parts looked a little bit more opaque when I first put it on there. Some of them didn't. That red that I didn't know what pigment it is, that came off a little bit opaque when I put it. You see it up in the top right, or in the right side of the painting. I put it in there and it was a little opaque over the black line. When it dried, it mostly uncovered that, but I just left it exactly how it was. I didn't go back over that with ink, so I wanted to see what that would look like. It just remind me of what it looked like. So all in all, the paints are, if you need a good set of sketchbook paints and you want a set that you're going to mix in the one puddle method, not straight from the pan. If you do that, you're not going to get a lot of saturation on the page. You need to do in the one puddle method, and you just put all the paint into one puddle. That's all it is. I never washed out the brush, nothing. I just straight from one pan into the puddle to another pan into the puddle and put it on the page. That's how I just did the entire thing. And when I did it like that, I got the results that I was looking for. So good on them. That's good. At first, when I was doing the swatching, I was very afraid of how I was going to judge these. But judging them for what they are and what they say they are. They're great, and I think that they're worth it. So this is the Petite, the La Petite, that's what they're called, right? Yeah, the La Petite Aquarelle. So that's going to be their student grade version. I don't think, I would never call them that. What I would call them is like blending colors or something like that. This formula blends easier. That's what I would call it, and not student. Don't do that to people. But all in all, they worked fine. I enjoyed it. On the very bottom, that color on the bottom, that was pretty vibrant, but that was only the phthalo blue and phthalo green put together on the bottom, and I just blended different concentrations of each. And the Payne's Gray. The Payne's Gray I put in there too, because that had a little bit more vibrancy to it. It got a little bit darker, so I put that in too. It's just everything worked the way that I wanted to, based on the fact of what they're saying it could do. So that's good. If you wanted to go straight from the pan onto the page, there's other paints. Matter of fact, every other student grade paint that I've ever used does that better. You can go all the way to the Woomer watercolor paints. Those are more vibrant than these, straight from the pan to the page. Absolutely 100%. So these, you have to use some of the brighter colors mixed in with the other colors to get it to appear vibrant. You can tune it as much as you want. And that's what I did. I got some yellow and some orange color in there, because I just took them and put them into that puddle that had the red in it, and then just added that in and then put it. So it was able to get to that point because it was being boosted by another color. So it was fine. If you do that, these are great. There's nothing wrong with them if that's how you want to use them. They blend wonderfully well on the page, and I could only imagine what they do on a cold press watercolor paper if they blend this good on a hot press that's designed to hold on to the paint. So I think that works great. I like when things work the way that they're supposed to. That's a wonderful thing. And I think, you know, you have to judge things based on what they're supposed to do. I can't judge it based on what it's not supposed to do. That's what I started to do, and I was getting a little bit frustrated with it. But all in all, I think these are great. I think they worked out just fine. I did not use this little tiny eyeshadow brush. I didn't do that. I just used the regular water brush in this one. And then I went ahead and I just put in the ink after, and it does. It looks like it's glowing behind it. It's wonderful. It worked out just fine. Now, if that's the case, I cannot wait until I get the authentic Sennelier watercolor. Just like these people popping up on the screen here, they're very authentic. They tell me all sorts of stuff in an authentic fashion. So thumb up the video if you also thought that maybe I was 100% wrong in my initial evaluation of these, and I had to go back and really read what they were actually for and what they should actually be used for, and that's what I should have judged it on from the beginning. I wish I would have known that. I would have done the swatch part a little bit different, but I wanted to show you my actual reaction of when I was using them, because someone, someone out there has bought one of these and said, oh, this is a professional line Sennelier watercolor, and they put it on the page and it didn't do what they wanted it to do, and they were thinking, well, what is this? Why is this like this? It's because it's the other kind. They have to specify that a little better. This doesn't make it, it says fine on it. Not fine. It's not fine watercolor, like when you say, oh, these are the fine watercolor. You're thinking that's the highest grade, the fine watercolor. No, no, no. They mean just fine watercolor. That's what they should say. These are just fine. Okay, try not to laugh at me in this next set of clips. So this says La Petite right on it. Petite? It's petite. I don't even know how to read English. It says petite right on it. Don't pay attention to me. Oh, I get it. It says fine student, like they're fine, like a C student. That's fine student. That's what that means. I thought fine meant fine watercolor, like what other brands mean, but no, it's just a fine student. It says right on here, Boite de Voy. No, I'm not going to try and read. If I'm going to try and read French, I'll be lynched in the mob outside. So if you have to correct me, just take it easy on me, okay? I give people a hard time. Listen, my wife is part French, so I have to give people a hard time. I love French people. Obviously, I married one. Don't worry about that. And she's part Canadian too, so that's double on that one. I love French and French Canadian people. So now I can, what is that? There's a mosquito in here. Who let a mosquito in here? How did it get in here? Oh, I'll get it. I couldn't show that on camera. That was way too violent. Look at this little thing. It's like a nose brush. Look at this thing. It's like a mustache brush or something. Can I do like this? Maybe a little eyeshadow brush like this, like over here. Why would you think this is a good idea? And I've always wanted to try this. If I could open it, I'd always want... Okay, there we go. Here we are. Do it again. I've always wanted to try these ever since I first saw them, so... I can't open the damn thing. There it is. Okay. It's not difficult. It's just that I have no nails, so I can't grab it. Okay, there we go. I got it. Okay, so... Oh, damn it. Not ready. Not ready. Never ready. Never ready for my own show. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.